Hello again, it's Trudy here from Hotpatterns with yet another one of our fabulous little YouTube clips. And this is about one of our more recent patterns. This is about the gorgeous Washington Jones Marrakesh drawstring pants. And lucky you get to see me modelling them. Fabulous. And I'm doing this because pants are the one garment you really need to see on a body in motion. So unfortunately for you and very unfortunately for me, the body in motion, you're going to see them on his mind. But the important thing to bear in mind with these pants is they're an incredibly flattering pant. They're not too fitted, not too slouchy, they're really just right. Now, these particular ones I have made up in a beautiful white linen from fabric.com, and I have to tell you, I have virtually lived in these since I've made them, I promise you. I literally wash them every night, dry them when I get up in the morning, and by the time I finish my shower, I'm ready to put them on. So these are a great pant. And the one thing you've got to bear in mind with these pants when you're making them is you must, I beg you please, use a fluid fabric. Linen is great. Linen, of course, will crease, but we don't care about that. We like the whole slouchy look. You can use linen, crepe, even one of those very soft kind of fluid wool suitings. As long as it's not stiff, you are good to go. Now, what I must tell you about these is they're incredibly wearable with an awful lot of things. I mean, you can see here I'm wearing it with a t-shirt tucked in, which I wouldn't normally do unless I'm doing it like this with my lovely shirt tail version of the Shangri-La jacket. And it's a pretty styling look, I have to say. You know, for a size 16 girl, I think I look pretty darn good. Well, actually, for any size, I look great. But anyway, so what I would say is bear in mind that these pants are great to wear for almost any occasion depending on the fabric you use. You can make them sweatshirting, wear them for yoga. You can make them in linen, you know, a great casual summer pant, a wool crepe, and you've got a beautiful winter and fall pant. I mean, really, it's up to you. So don't be afraid of these, even though they've got like a drawstring waistband. It's not big and baggy, it's very sleek, and you'll see that when I show you the other variations. And I know when you make this pant, you're going to love it. Now, the reason I've got this rather bizarre diagram behind me here is I want to prove to you, beyond any shadow of a doubt, why you need to make and fit a muslin, especially when it comes to pants. Now, the truth is that if you make garments without making and fitting a muslin, sometimes you'll get away with it, especially if you're doing like a knit top or something that isn't very fitted. You might well get away with it, but sooner or later, especially when it comes to making pants, the likelihood is that if you don't make a muslin, you don't fit a muslin, it's going to come back and bite you. It really is. And I guarantee it'll be when you use irreplaceable fabric, you're on a deadline, it's going to be a big trauma. So my honest hint to you is, get used to making muslin. They're a lot easier than you think, a lot quicker than you think, and they will give you great results. Now, I want to show you here so you can compare and contrast, and you can see why it's so important. This solid line here is the actual pattern. It's the pattern straight out of the envelope. It's a size 16, which is our base size. Now, the dotted lines here are my version of the pattern. That's what I've had to do to make it fit me. Now, clearly I'm in major denial here because, of course, I always think I'm a 16 and I'm really not, especially not on the bottom and tummy, but so it goes. However, you can see that at this point here, I'm kind of the same size, the same measurement as the pattern, but the angles of my body are quite different. And that's perfectly okay. It's a bit like a blind date. It kind of works on paper, but you've got to kind of tweak it a little bit. So what I've done is I've added in where I need to on the length and on the hips. I've taken away where I don't need it through here, and it ends up fitting perfectly. Now you can see the radical difference between the two shapes, the solid line, which is the pattern from the envelope, and the dotted line, which is mine. And you can see that if I've made these up like this, well, I'd be crying by now because they wouldn't fit, they'd look dreadful, they'd just look awful. However, having made them up like this, they work. So I can't prove to you any more conclusively why you should make a muslin, but this is it. Make a muslin, because if you don't, bad result, great result. It's really easy. So now you have the exquisite pleasure of seeing a fat girl modelling pants. So if that kind of offends you, then you need to watch something else, because this is the only body I've got to model these on, so we're going to have to deal with that. Okay, so this is just the basic front view of the Marrakesh drawstring pants, and I wanted to show you this worn like this with something tucked in, even though this is not how I normally wear them, because I wanted you to see how kind of flat the front is. Although it's a gathered or an elasticated waist through here, It's not kind of gathery like you get with a sweat pant. It actually goes quite flat. You've only got a tiny little bit of excess. So it's actually quite a flattering look. You get this nice kind of straight through look here. And that's really kind of important. You don't want lots of bulk around the front as well. And the other thing to say is that it sits just a little bit below the natural waist, which is a really flattering place for everyone to wear their pants. So don't be afraid of it being too low. It's really not going to be too low. But this is just the basic front view. And incidentally, this fabric, very good fabric for these pants, nice and drapey. This is actually a tweed, but it's a linen tweed, so it's quite fluid. This is from Gorgeous Fabrics. It's got about 15 different colours in it. I know it kind of reads as like a greeny colour, but this is kind of my fall pant because it's got green and teal and gold and lime and black and everything, all groovy things in it. So this is the front view. You can see it's really, really flat and simple, and you can see also that, you know, once you put your hands in your pockets like this, you don't get too much distortion. You can just put your hands in there and it still looks really good. Now we're going to have a look at the side view. Okay, so now we're going to look at the side view, and of course you lucky people are going to get to see my enormous post-operative tummy, and there's not a lot we can do about that, so let's just move on to the pants, shall we? Okay, so there's 3 things I want to talk to you about on the side view. They're all little things, but you know, all together they make for a really good pant, a really good silhouette. So the first thing is, we've got the side seam pocket here. Now this, I hope you can see, doesn't actually gape open, which a lot of side seam pockets do. And that's because, first of all, I fitted it properly, but secondly, I stitched down the pocket bag through here. And if you're using a textured fabric like this one, this is really great because the stitches just disappear. You don't see them, but it basically just anchors the pocket bag and stops it doing that, which is really grim and really miserable. So it stays nice and flat like this, and it stays where it should do. And the other thing to show you is, I'm not even sure if you can see this, but trust me on this, my side seam is perfectly straight. It's perfectly perpendicular, absolutely as it should be, and that's because I fitted my pants properly. The final thing that's really kind of relevant on this view is the length. Now the length on these is pretty much perfect. It's a little bit shorter at the front, probably about 1/4 inch, and it almost hits the floor at the back. And that's right for these. You do not want them kind of flapping around your ankle unless you actually roll them up and wear them as the kind of crop version. But it's a really good thing to do, even if you need to do an angled hem, make it a tiny bit shorter at the front and drop them down to the back. That's what looks really good. So now you've enjoyed the side view, let's have a look at the back. And that one you're going to have to look at my bottom, so sorry about that. So lucky you get to first of all see my bottom, which not many people get to see, and I also get to talk to you over my shoulder, so it's all working out really well. So I want to show you the back view just so you can see that when you fit your pants, especially these ones that haven't got dart, they've got elasticated or a drawstring waistband, you need to make sure that everything's kind of sleek and chic, and these ones are, they fit really well. And you can also see that they just hang straight down to the floor. There's no bagginess, there's no kind of drag lines or anything. And that's just the way a pant should be. And now I mentioned before on a linen tweed, which is really lovely, but, let me just turn around again, but the thing with linen that you have to accept, learn to live with, learn to love, is it creases. It creases like the living daylights. That's okay. For this kind of pant, this kind of slouchy pant, works really well. So now I'm going to show you another version. So this is another version of my fabulous Marrakesh drawstring pants. I have to tell you, I've made many pairs of these, and I will make many more pairs because they are so comfortable. But I wanted to show you these particular ones because they're not linen, they're not any kind of usual fabric. These are Bengaline from fabric.com. Now Bengaline is a type of weave, so like it's when you say like it's a gabardine or something. That's the kind of weave, but it's like a sort of a ribbed weave. It looks a bit like a grosgrain ribbon, but the fabric content is rayon. So you can see they're very fluid. They really move very well. And I keep saying this, you've got to have a fluid fabric for these pants. I know that I'm going to get some emails from somebody somewhere saying, can I make them in denim? And I'm going to email them back and say, please don't, because it's going to look dreadful. You need the fluidity, you need it to kind of move and slouch like this. So a Bengaline type fabric, same as a crepe or something like that, very fluid and perfect for these pants. So I really recommend that you make sure when you're buying your fabric, pick it up, kind of shimmy it around a little bit, make sure it moves. And that's all I have to say about these pants. They're fabulous, you'll love them, and thank you for watching.